everyone, Barbara from AllBrands.com. It's the All Brands Show. We're so excited to be here today with Becky Thompson from Power Tools with Thread. She's amazing. If you haven't followed her yet, please find her on YouTube. She's got a website. She's fantastic. But we're going to be talking about today finishing quilting products with your embroidery machine. So without further ado, I'll bring in our special guest. Here she is. Hey, Becky.
Hey, Barbara. It's great to see you again.
You too. You are so much fun.
You know, for two people who live so far apart, we sure hang out together quite a bit.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. I have got something so much fun to talk to everybody about today.
Yay. So finishing your quilting projects on your embroidery machine. So did you ever think when you started quilting or anything like that, that you could do it so easily?
Well, so when I first started quilting and I had an embroidery machine, I didn't have a long arm. I know I can't free motion quilt. That's just not my thing. And so I thought, well, the embroidery machine is like a little computer that would do that for me. So let me think about, and let me back up. I had a little Brother PE 770 that had a 5x7 hoop. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so then right about the same time, Emily Scott came out with these CDs that you could buy that had, the designs on them to finish quilting in your embroidery machine. And they are, they work great. They really do. And so I spent some money on it and I brought it home and I couldn't use them, because the Emily Scott designs start at a 6x10, or at least they did back then. I haven't looked at them lately. So that meant two things. One, I could not use them. And two, I needed a bigger embroidery machine.
We've all been there.
Right. Yeah, we've all been there. And that's one of those things where you have to say, okay, I'm dedicated enough to this craft that I am willing to make that kind of investment. But And I mean, I'm not knocking, don't get me wrong at all. They work wonderfully. I've got a video out on my YouTube channel demoing how to use the Emily Scott designs, and I really like them. But if you have a 4x4 or a 5x7, you're kind of stuck there. And recently as within the last 2 years, there have been so many commercial digitizers that are like, you can download whatever you need, and you can download background quilting designs now for your embroidery machine. They're all over the place. And I want to show you a sample of one I did. I actually have a video series on when I made this. This is, it's a pattern by Urban Elements, and it is this cute little flamingo that says warmest wishes. See him, isn't he cute?
That is so cute. And the quilting on top looks awesome.
Yeah, so look, it's got little flamingos. You see?
Oh, that's so cute, Becky. Wow.
So love it. I know, it's awesome. And I even quilted over the applique. Let me get up real close so you can see that. Okay. Mm-hmm. But look at the back where you can really see the quilting designs. Okay. So this is what you can do with your embroidery machine. And today I kind of wanted to take you through a little bit of education on how to actually do this and some things you need to think about when you are wanting to do this. So you want to get started?
Yeah. Before we get started, I just wanted to let everyone know to comment #AllBrands. We will be doing a giveaway at the end of this broadcast for a $25 AllBrands.com e-gift card. So #AllBrands, and good luck. All right, Becky, let's get into it.
All right. So Easter's coming up. So I wanted to do a Just we're going to use some cute little bunnies and eggs. And I downloaded these designs from Designs by Juju. She's got tons of designs. This is not there's a little gnat. It's very annoying. That's what happens when your door to your room to my sewing room is actually the door to the driveway. This is a converted garage. Anyway, so these designs that come from there, they are for all different sizes of embroidery machines. There are sizes from 4x4 all the way up to ginormous, big. Like this one is for the 9x14. And in these particular designs, and I'm not promoting Designs by Juju. I'm just telling you, this is where I got this particular design from. You will also get reverse point order designs, which means if you're doing a ginormous quilt that, and they're directional like these guys are, aren't they cute little bunnies and eggs? If they're directional, then you can flip them around and do the same direction all the way down the quilt, even if you had to flip the quilt 180 degrees. But the difference on these designs from from others that I have seen is the scale of the design. So I want to show you. So this is a 4x4 and then 6x10. So the bunnies are a little bit bigger.
That's precious.
Because people ask, what size should I use? And there's a couple of variables on what you would want to think about. But with the Designs by Juju designs, it's all about the scale. How dense do you want your quilting? So this one here, look how big those bunnies are compared to the bunnies in the 4x4. Okay. So you can see if you've got a large project and you want a large scale print, design, background quilting design, you can do that. If you have a little bitty 4x4 hoop machine, you need to go to AllBrands and look at bigger machines. But you could do like 4 of these together, 2 across the top, 2 on the bottom, and do a nice little mug rug. So it's all about the scale of design that you want to put on your project. So I've got a sample project here. Also on my channel, that's probably my most viewed video is background quilting for your embroidery machine. And so if you haven't seen it yet, I highly encourage you to check it out. So I've got a hoop here. This is a Designs and Machine Embroidery magnetic hoop. So let's talk about hoops, okay, before I get into all the math. I don't like math. But so what kind of hoop should you use? I highly recommend that you use a magnetic hoop, and you use a magnetic hoop that has a flat frame. So what I mean by flat frame is, of course, the dime hoop is flat. Let me show you. See the edge of it there? Flat. There's nothing underneath except the metal underneath. Okay, so this is a flat hoop frame. Brother makes a flat hoop frame in the 5x7. I love this frame. See, that one is also a flat hoop. This thing is amazing, and I just love it. So there's the little magnets, and they're very strong, and they hold tightly. So this is a good one to use too. I do not recommend, I hate to turn my back to you guys, but I'm in a limited spot here. I do not recommend hoops. I love this hoop. Don't get me wrong. This is a great hoop because it holds your stuff tight. But the problem with this hoop, I'll show you. This is for background quilting. I would use it definitely for all kinds of embroidery, but not background quilting. So this hoop, can you see? It looks like a little mountain. Can you see the mountain on the metal? Okay, it's got a little mountain. Now, why? Why not this one? Watch your fingers. Because these designs, I'll go all over the floor here. These designs have a definite start point and a definite end point, right? Like this. So it's going to start right here every time, and it's going to go around and it's going to do its thing. Okay. There's no backtracking or anything. And it goes through the whole process and it stops right there. Okay. This is the horizontal, or there might be a vertical. It depends on what your hoop is to which one you want to use. I'm going to be using the vertical one today. So this one has a definite start and a definite stop right over here. Okay. So after your very first pass, you've got to exactly match up this point right here. We are trying to mimic what your project would look like if you took it to a long armor. And long armors, so it's one big long continuous line across the entire quilt, whether it's either a digitized or manual pantograph from the long armor. And a pantograph is just one big long piece of paper that is on the back of the machine, and the long armor will start, and they'll use their little handles with a laser, and it'll point down, and they will just take that design all the way across the quilt, advance the quilt, start there again on that side and go and whatnot, and make sure it's spaced properly so you don't have a lot of gaps. And that is what we're going to be trying to mimic with this. And as I said, there are all kinds of online digitizing companies that make these now. And so when you see them, there's just some things you need to take into consideration when you're going to get them. So as I said, you've got to start. So let's say this is the first pass. Let me hold up my hoop and show you. So let's say this is the first pass we did right here. Okay. And we'll get into exact alignment here in just a minute. And when this finishes right here, I need to rehoop my project so it's got room to stitch again. And I need to make sure that this one now starts right here, exactly where I need it to. If you are using a hoop with the mountains, you cannot move that fabric at all. It's in there tight. It's not going anywhere. If you use a flat framed magnetic hoop, or not just the mountains, but even a standard traditional hoop that's been recessed, you cannot move that fabric without popping the hoop. You run the risk of doing that. But if you've got a flat frame magnetic hoop, you can kind of cheat a little bit and you can tug it and pull the project however you need to, because if you don't get it started exactly on that one stitch, then you can fake it till you make it. And it works perfectly every time. So that's really important when you're doing this. Not that you can't do it without these magnetic hoops, but magnetic hoops are definitely your friend. If you have an embroidery machine and you want to do this, then I highly recommend that you invest in magnetic hoops. My camera's in the shot. I am so sorry.
It looks like you had a Sony embroidery machine. I was like, I didn't know that Sony made embroidery machines.
It's a Sony Handycam is what it is.
Let's talk.
So remember I said that we're trying to mimic what a long armor would do on a quilt. Okay. So you've got to think a little bit like a long armor, even though you're not one. Long armors, when they do this process, or if you take a quilt top and some batting and a backing to the long armor, they always ask you to bring a backing that's just a little bit wider than the quilt top itself, usually anywhere from 4 to 6, maybe 8 inches. And that's for the side clamps to hold. And so that as the machine travels, when it finishes at the edge of the quilt top, it's not banging into those clamps. It's got a smooth, it can finish. Also, when a long armor, most long armors, I'm not going to say all, most long armors will begin about a 1/2 inch off the edge of the quilt top and then stop 1/2 inch, 1/4 to 1/2 inch off the edge of the quilt top. And at the top of the quilt, they'll be just over the beginning of the edge of the quilt top, just a little bit. And what they do before they ever do their first pass of a pantograph is they baste the quilt top to the backing, so that to the backing and the batting they create the quilt sandwich, and they just baste everything down. And that's to prevent that hopping foot from getting caught up underneath the edge of that quilt. So when you are hooping these projects, you mimic the same thing. My green backing, and I recommend a busy backing, but I have a solid backing so you guys can see exactly what it's gonna look like on the back. So I have basted with, this is 3M paper tape, and I use 1 inch wide paper tape. You can get like 10 rolls, cheap, Amazon. That's what I do. And I have basted this with the tape. I've got this. Now, there is batting in here. You can't see it because the batting is the exact same size as the quilt top. I laid the top onto the batting and then trimmed the batting to the exact same size as the top. So that makes it so that it's pretty easy. Okay. You can extend the batting out a little bit, but the tape doesn't like to stick to the batting very well. Also, when you're taping, I want you to see. So on this side right here, I taped it like right down the middle. Okay. I don't recommend doing that unless you are going to, you're going to cut this away. What I normally do is I tape within 1/4 inch, inside of 1/4 inch, so that I know that my binding is going to cover my project. So I have this whole thing taped down. Okay. That's how I've got mine all set and ready to go. And you'll also notice I've got backing all around here. Could this go higher up to the edge? Absolutely. Do I want it to? No, because remember I told you this needs to go over the top just a little bit and over the side just a little bit, so that when I trim it, there won't be a gap of a design. There's not going to be any kind of gap right here. So if I did it like this, I'm going to have a gap. And you can do it like that. That's fine. But it's all how you want your project to look. Okay. Now, this project, let's talk about how many passes we need to do. Okay. This project is 24.5. There's the number 33 is under here. I don't want to unhoop it. Sorry. So this is 24.5 across. All right. And it's 33 down. So that means what I do, because of I do Becky math. Whatever. So I'm going to start it over here. Okay. And what I do, I don't know if you guys can see, I marked, I've got friction markers on here. Okay. So I marked that little thing right there is exactly where that's going to end, right there. And when I mark it like that, I do it before I hoop. Okay. And when I mark it like that, then I know now I'm going to move this over here. And then I keep going across and I figure out how many passes. And if it goes off the end, which it will, there's a couple of different things you can do. You can either let it finish out, which is why you have extra fabric over here so that it can finish and while it's still hooped, or you can stop the machine when it's done if it's not going to come back onto your quilt top at all. So it's a couple of different ways you could do it. I have had great big, the 9x14s where I've done great big designs, and it'll finish, it'll be like down here, and then it's going to do a bunch of stuff, and then it's going to finish out a corner up in here. And I'll stop the machine right here when I'm on the far edge, not in the middle, but I'll stop the machine out here and then jump ahead until it's ready to come back onto my quilting space, and then let it finish out. It's up to you. Either way. So that's the way I do that. Do we have any questions or anything on project prep or?
So far, you've done an excellent job at explaining everything. I even have learned a lot from that. So thank you, Becky. Just comment saying that you make it
Oh,
so
thank you,
easy to
Sally. That's so
understand.
sweet.
We did have a question from Deb. Can you do this on a 10 needle machine?
Yeah, Deb, I actually did warmest wishes on the 10 needle.
Yep.
Yes, I did. And there is, so that's a great point, and I'll let you know when we get to there. So one of the first things that a long armor will do is they pull up their bobbin thread. So there's nothing on the back, right? So we're going to be pulling up the bobbin thread, and I'm going to do it on the single needle. I'm on the Illuminaire right now, but you can pull up the bobbin thread with a multi-needle. It can be done. I've done it many, many times, and I'll explain how to do that when we get there. So I am, as you can see, so I said this is 24 and a half by 33. So this thing is going to be 5 across and 4 down because I have a 6 by 10. So 5 across is 25. No, see Becky math. 5 across is 30, right? 6 times 5, I'm using a 6
Yep.
by 10 design. So 6 times 5 is 30. And this is only 20, this is 24 and a half. If I wanted a larger print, I could have gone with like an 8 by 8 design and still been half an inch short, maybe trimmed it, whatever. So there's a lot of different variables to this as how you want it to look. I'm probably going to turn this thing into, like, I don't know, a couple of placemats or something for Easter. Who knows? And this is really awesome. You can do this, and then you can HTV on top of it. You can add applique on top of it. If you're going to add applique on top of your background quilting, I would recommend that you use a no-show mesh stabilizer, because in this case, I have hooped the backing like it is a stabilizer. There's no stabilizer in this at all. It's the quilt top, the batting, and the backing. So if you're going to be doing applique, I would go ahead and make the sandwich the no-show mesh and the batting and the quilt top, and then add your backing after the fact, so that you don't have all those embroidery stitches from the applique messing up your pretty, if it had gone all the way through. You see, y'all follow me?
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's a good idea. And I've done that too, Becky. We have a question from Sally. When you sandwich everything, do you base the sandwich with something like 505 spray before you do the taping?
Yes. So thank you for bringing that up. So when I basted, all right, I laid the batting first on top of my backing and got it centered exactly where I wanted on the backing, making sure I had enough at the top, the bottom, side to side. So I laid out the batting completely on top of the backing, folded it in half, and then I spray the back of the batting, not the background fabric. I spray the batting and then smooth it out across the background fabric, and then fold up the other half and sprayed it and got it nice and smooth. And then I sprayed the top of the batting and laid the top down on top of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't like spraying my fabric. I used Sulky's KK2000 is what I used.
Cool.
And it worked great. Yeah. I prefer that to 505. It just doesn't have the odor or anything like that. Also, I recommend, so we're going to do some purple bunnies, and I'm using Dime's Exquisite thread, and I made a matching bobbin. This is a 40 weight Exquisite thread bobbin from Dime. And I do that so You wouldn't have to do it if you were going to add your backing on after the fact, but because this, you're going to see the back, then I'm going to use the same color bobbin. That's just really a good idea to do that. So I'm going to load my bobbin in here. This is my Brother Luminaire. It's still an XP2. The XP3s have a lot more quilting designs. I've got the upgrade, Barbara, but I haven't loaded it yet. Sorry, I haven't had any time. So I've got to put my glasses on so I can see you guys. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, let me talk about alignment on the quilt. So I have, let me pull this tighter. I have marked a line right here. I don't know. Can you see that? See my line? I used to be in the military. See my little shadow box up there? In the military, we don't say pretend. We say simulate because that's grown up and it sounds professional. So we're going to simulate that this is a row of quilt blocks. Okay, that's the seam for that row of quilt blocks. I've got an 8-inch quilt block row. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to do is I'm using the 6x10 vertical design, and I like to trim my designs. So let me get back to these patterns too. I like to trim my designs exactly where the stitches end. So to the topmost, I trim them exactly side to side and the bottom. That makes it so easy to realign your passes each time you do this. Also, when you do the great big ones, I'm going to bend down just a second. Oh. When you do the great big ones, the design, like this is a 9x14, the design is larger than the 8.5x11 sheet of paper. And so when it prints out, go ahead and print out both sheets. And then I trimmed them, just one page, and taped it so that it matches exactly. Because the break in the page is right there. See that? But I've got my crosshair so I know where center is on the design. If I was going to use this one, I would trim it right here and right across the bottom at the lowest possible stitch. Even that little bit right there on the top, right by this, I would trim it to the highest possible stitch and get rid of that extra paper. That's going to make your life easier when you're trying to realign these designs on the next pass. So, you guys ready to get stitching? We're going to do this, and I am going to, let me show you what I'm doing here. I got to put this on my lap. Hold on. So I'm going to, let me get my other camera. Barbara, I'm going to switch cameras real quick. You want to, there we go.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Just so that everybody knows, Becky is using the Luminaire, the newest models, the XP3. We carry that in all of our stores, and she's using the Dime Monster Snap Hoop. So anything that you see in this video that you like, there's a link in the description that you can click to find those. All right, looks like Becky's ready. Here you go.
Right. So I've got this set now where I am just a little bit over the edge right here. The bottom of my design is right on the seam for my quilt row. Okay. Because it's really good to start on a seam to give you a good starting. And that way, once you get going, and nobody will know the difference. Oh, I need to reach him over here. I have a Designs and Machine embroidery target sticker. Love these. And I like to pre-fold my designs. It just makes my life easy. Okay. And see, I've got bunnies coming up into the top. That's okay because the bottom is on that quilting seam line. I'm going to fold this down, and I'm now going to put my target sticker. I can see the line through the paper, and I'm going to put my target sticker right there. So now I know where to start my design. Okay. So I'm going to put this into the machine, and I'm going to bring you up a little bit so you can see. I need to, I should have put a hoop guard on, Barbara.
I love those things. And ask me
Um,
why, because I know what happens when you don't use them.
Yeah, I know. I should have put one in here. I wasn't thinking. I'll do it on the next pass. Okay. Got enough.
Someone asked Becky, what size dime magnetic snap hoop monster is that?
This is the 9x14.
Oh, great. Okay.
A lot of people ask me, what size hoop should I get? So I'm using a 6x10 design. I don't have a dime 6x10 magnetic hoop because they're really, oh no, I just bounced my sticker out of the way, you guys. I don't have a 6x10 dime magnetic hoop, but I can do a 6x10 design in the 9x14. So my advice, because these are an investment, okay, my advice is to buy the most hoop that you can afford. That's because you can always go smaller.
Yeah, I bought the biggest hoop size that my machine would take because
Yes.
I don't like to rehoop and I don't have a ton of time. So I like to get it done quick. So I pick a design that takes up the whole hoop size and then
Yes.
I have less hooping.
And that's a great point. Yeah. And like I said, so if you don't mind the larger scale, then I do have the big 10x16 for this, but it's got another project in it right now that I'm doing, and I didn't want to unhoop it. So,
And someone asked Becky, what is a hoop guard? So a hoop guard is an extra accessory that you buy for the dime snap hoop. It's like a metal piece that goes in between the magnetic hoop, the top and bottom on the right side, and there it is. It prevents the excess quilt from coming on top of the hoop, and so that you don't stitch on top of the fabric.
This little piece right here goes in between the magnets, and it just slides in like this. Now that's never going to flop over. And you can even use I'll use like a little clip, a wonder clip or something, and hold it. So there's all different little cool gadgets that work great for this. Let me get I'll get a big wonder clip. I try not to put the wonder clips up on the top. You would think you could put them here. It depends on how much clearance you have on your up in here. If you're on a multi-needle, you'll probably hit that. But it just depends. So I can clip it to the top and it's going to be just fine, and it's never going to get in the way. So let me turn you guys to the screen so maybe you can see. And I'm going to come in a little bit, and I need to hit the right button so we don't take a ride and go back and forth. Let me see, just like that. Okay. Well, there's our bunnies right there. So I'm going to touch embroidery, and I'm going to go, I want the crosshair on my W foot, which is the embroidery foot. And I'm going to go to layout and move, and I got to go way up. Oh. Yeah, it's not going to let me go that high for that particular design. Let me come over. Okay. So it's not going to let me come that high. I am going to just go ahead and start right here. And the bottom of the bunnies will go over the seam line. Not a big deal. So I will just use this crosshair and figure out, see, that's exactly how that's going to go. So I am still a little, let me move this. I'm still a little bit over the top and a little bit over the side, and that's fine. All right. That's exactly fine. Let me move you. I'm going to turn this just a little and bring it up. Okay. So I need to thread the needle.
I love the needle threader. Oh,
love the needle threader. Yeah. All right. And I'm just going to go ahead and get this started. I'm not going to pull up my bobbin thread this time because it's going to start off the edge of the quilt top.
Oh, there you go. Someone asked Becky, do you pull it up at the end of the design as well?
You should, yes. If you are in the middle of a pass, you definitely want to start it. You know, you want to catch that right before it stops. And I will tell you how you can do that here. This is a 2-minute stitch out. I tried to choose something that wasn't ginormously big, but was still, I could show you how to connect design. So we're going to do this one, and we're going to do one more to connect it in the middle of the project. And then we'll do a third pass to show you how to do the stitching, how to do the spacing on the next row. So I'm going to get this in closer so you guys can see. There we go. Look how cute that is.
I love it.
Now, so it depends on when you stop at the last one. Okay, what are you going to use this for? If it's going to hang on a wall, I don't think it's that important that you pull the bobbin thread at the last one, but I will show you how to do that. If it's going to be seen from the back, you know, if for whatever reason, if you care, if it matters, then you're going to want to stop it before it finishes the final stitch, like in the middle of the lock stitch right at the end, and then pull the hoop and then trim close on both sides. So here you can see it's going over the top, and that foot. Now I have it, we're about, I think I'm doing 700 stitches a minute right here. I don't have it on the fastest. So, and I don't have it on the slowest, and it's working just fine. So we can see that. I can't see the chat, Barbara.
Oh, okay. So I've saved some questions if you're ready.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see. Kathy asked earlier, which you answered this. Is it okay to embroider with regular cotton quilting thread? Yes, of course. For these straight line quilting designs, it's totally fine to have cotton quilting thread in the bobbin and on the top.
It is. I would slow the machine down for that. Depending on how fast you do it.
You're using exquisite thread, which is a polyester.
It's a poly.
Yeah, it's a dual purpose. You can use it for embroidery or sewing.
Okay, so the design just finished, and just before it finished, I stopped it, and it did not cut, and it jumped over to the beginning again. So that's how you do that. All right, so now the magic, I'm going to pull this out very slowly, give it a little slack. I'm going to trim. Okay. And now I'm going to remove the hoop, and I'm going to trim it from the back. And I want to show you, I'm going to turn. So here's what the knot looked like when it started off. Okay, so that's standard with embroidery. You get that little knot. But here's what it looked like when I caught it at the end. So we don't have a little knot. You do have a double stitch, a little lock stitch. But if you are using a busy backing, you'll never see it. So, okay. Barbara, I'm going to rehoop this.
Okay.
So I'm going to move my camera real quick.
Got it. I got you. Okay, I will answer some questions, and I am saving the questions, so please keep asking them, and we'll get to those. Let's see. Oh, here's one from BJ. Is this a design on your machine or did you purchase the design? So interestingly enough, the new Luminaire XP3 does have some edge-to-edge quilting designs built in to it. So Becky, when you get your upgrade, definitely play with those. They're really fun. And they use the projector and the camera to line up things. So you can actually, she purchased this design, I think, from Designs by Juju, but you can use the built-in designs in the machine. You can use Christine Connor's designs. You can use, there's so many different ones available. And I think it may be fun to actually, and Reen and I are actually working on this right now. So in a few weeks, we may show this to you, to make them in Design Center. We'll see. That's what we're playing with, but it's something fun to think about.
Okay. Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so we're over here at my ironing station and I want to show you my process. So what I did was and you're not always going to have a seam to line up on. So I'm kind of glad this happened the way it did so I can show you. All right, so I have put my template right back where the last stitch was, and I've got it straight. I'm going to take this. I have not removed the hoop. I've put my ruler right up to it, and I'm going to make a little line right here, okay? It's important to mark. And also I'm going to mark a little dash and a line right there. So that's where it ended. That's important for that. And then this is my alignment line. So you don't have a tendency for it to drift downwards because that's kind of human nature to do that. Okay, I'm going to pull the hoop off the top and I am going to put this right back here. I'm going to line it up on that and I'm going to just move this. It doesn't have to be this high now. I can put it in the middle of the hoop and I know it's going to, I kind of had it hooped too high. That was the problem. So I'm just going to align this edge first stitch right over the top of the stitch that it ended at. And then with my alignment on the bottom, that's how I know it's not going wonky one way or the other, because that's really easy to do as well. So we don't like wonky in embroidery any more than we like it in quilting. All right. So I'm going to fold this down, get my target sticker and put it right there. Okay. So that's good. And I'm going to line this up again. To do these magnetic hoops, I've got the edge of it pushed up right against the handle. Okay. And then let me show you. I can't get any further down with my camera. Let me push. Hold on. Well, that didn't work worth beans. Hold on. Let me move this. Okay. Where's my hoop? Where? Oh, way up there. Okay, let me push this down. Okay. So I'm going to stand this up right next to the handle. I can feel the bottom edge right here of the metal underneath. And I'm just putting this edge even with it. And I'm going to drop it just like that. And I need to get my hoop guard. It jumped around on me when I wasn't looking. That happens. All right. So we're going to stitch this second pass now. So let's go line this up. Barbara, I'm going to move my camera.
All right. So let's see. Let's go to our questions. Here we go. What brand hoops are you using? So these are called Designs and Machine Embroidery Magnetic Snap Hoop Monster, and you can find them at allbrands.com. And they are actually, if you click the link in the description of this video, there are all the products that we are showing. And if it's not there yet, I will add it right after the video. I've been taking notes. Let's see. Someone asked Becky, what type of pen were you using to make your marks? I know friction pens are very popular.
No, it's not the friction pen. It's the friction marker. There's a difference in them.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to go get, hold on. I'll be here in 5 seconds.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. Crystal asked, where is the edge to edge pattern from? That's from Designs by Juju. And here's another question. What size is that hoop? I have hoop envy right now. So that's the 9 by 14. Yes. 9 by 14, but I have the 9.5 by 16 is the largest for the Brother Luminaire.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Let's talk about that marking pen. Okay, these are both friction marking pens, and I'll get up real close so you can see. F-R-I-X. Hold on. F-R-I-X-I-O-N. Okay, it's called friction. Now, there is a marking pen, and when you pull the cap, it looks like a writing pen. Okay, and then there is the friction marker. You want the friction marker. See, this one looks like a magic marker. I'm a YouTube professional. Here we go. So one looks like a marker and one looks like a pen. You want to use the marker all the time. The ink that's in the pens has a tendency to do what's called ghosting. So all of this is heat sensitive, and it will erase. Both of them will erase with heat. However, if it gets cold, or maybe after a day or so, this one, you'll see a white line where that was, and it'll ghost. That's what we call it. It's called ghosting. Now, you can take a rag, like a microfiber cloth with a little water on it, and it'll come off. But we don't need that kind of drama in our lives. We have other things to do. So I just do not recommend. I bought the frictions pens at first. The orange one ghosted really bad. But now I just use friction markers, and all the colors seem to be just fine. I use them all over the place. Okay, so let's get to the second pass, and let me show you how to do this. I'm going to turn this down, and I'm going to zoom you guys in a little bit so that you can see what's going on here. Let me put this. That was in the way. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell my machine, okay, I'm ready to go back and start again. And I am going to go to, let me get up on the screen and show you. I don't know that do you guys want to see the screen, or we'll just look at it and make sure it moves where it needs to go. I'm going to hit the W foot again and get my crosshair down. And then I'm going to go to move and jog it where it needs to go. Okay. That's close enough for government work. All right. So what I do, moving this, what I do is I go ahead and hold on to the bobbin thread. This is how you pull up your bobbin thread on an embroidery machine. So take your top thread, and let me show you on the screen. Can you guys see the screen okay? Let me back out a little bit so you can look at it. I want you to see all the buttons. Is there too much glare? There might be too much glare. Yeah, there might be too much glare. There's a button right here. It's a needle plus minus. Okay, so I'm going to touch the needle plus minus. And then up here on the keypad, I'm going to go +1, and the head will move, or the hoop will move underneath the needle. Okay. So now I want to get in here real close so you guys can see. All right. Let me see if I can get you to where you can exactly see what's going on. Okay. My crosshair, I'm a little bit low. All right. I can't move the design anymore. But what I can do, I don't think I can. Let me click OK. Yeah, I can't move the design anymore that I have gone +1. But what I can do, because I've got this flat magnetic hoop, I can give it a little tug just a bit. And now it's exactly perfect. So I'm going to, on the machine, let me show you. I'm going to move up. You see, I think you guys can see. Okay. There's a needle up down right here. I'm going to press needle down and it hit it exactly. Needle up. And I want to pull up that bobbin thread and I'm just going to press go and let it do its thing. It's going to do the lock stitch and we're off. Just like that.
Oh, Becky, that's great. Hey, so you're using the Target stickers made by Designs and Machine Embroidery to place your design. Could you also use the snowman stickers that are in the brother machines that have cameras? Was a question from some of our customers.
There we go.
Hey, Becky.
Hello.
Hey, could you also use snowman stickers for that, or do you recommend?
Yes, absolutely, you could. Yeah.
Okay.
You sure could. I just happen to be using I just grab whatever's handy.
Yeah. Not everyone has a machine that has a camera. So if you don't have a machine that has a camera, you can certainly definitely use those dime Target stickers, and they work great.
There, I removed the hoop guard so you guys can see the progress. Now, see how this has spaced itself? The spacing right here is commensurate with the spacing in the rest of the design. And it just looks great. So when you get ready, we're going to do our next row. And when you get ready to do that, you want to gauge the spacing between the elements in the design. And that's going to tell you how far down to put your template when you get ready to stitch the next pass or make your next row. And
Star
so
says,
this one right, oh, hi, Star. Thank you.
That's very sweet.
So you can literally, you could do this in a afternoon. You could get your background quilting done. And then what's really neat, if you're just doing this, then you can cut this big piece apart. You can make a bag. You can make a tote bag. You could make a zipper pouch. You could make bunny baskets for Easter, whatever you want. And you've got cute quilted fabric, like pre-quilted fabric that you used to buy. Oh. Okay, I stopped the machine because it was doing its final lock stitch. I don't want to hit the scissor and let it cut or let it cut automatically. Also, if I was smart, let me show you guys right here. I will do this. Sorry, went too fast. I'm sorry. Okay, there's a button right here. Oh, it has a pair of scissors and a tie off. And if I hit that, I can touch end color trim. I'll just touch it. And now it won't cut the thread on my fancy machine. So if you don't have a fancy machine, the way that I did this is the way you would do it. But I just turned off the end color trim. Okay. Or you can turn off your jump stitches as well. These designs do not have any jump stitches. Okay. I'm going back over to the design. All right. So now I'm going to pull the hoop. Oh, it wants me to lift the presser foot. There we go. I give it a little slack and I'm going to trim the top. And with any luck, I did hit it. I had marker across where I wanted it to be. So let me trim this here and trim it on the back. And again, let me So let me show you what the back looks like now. I'm going to put it right up here where the stitches met. You see it? You've got to look for it. It's right there. So if you have a busy background, you're not going to see that. But look at the pretty, let me turn this. Look at the pretty quilting on the back of your project. Isn't that gorgeous? You can quilt little projects or big projects with this process. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and explain something you can do. So Barbara, you guys carry this. This is like Weightless Quilter 2.0. I have the Weightless Quilter that goes on the floor. And if you have a king size quilt, queen size, anything bigger than a baby quilt, you're probably going to want to use the floor size Weightless Quilter, it's called. And it's a system of rails that go on your floor. You have these big arms that come up and clamps on the top, and it will hold the weight of your quilt up off the embroidery arm. And that way you won't get drag on the design, which will distort the design. So it's an investment, okay? But it will pay for itself in 1 to 2 trips to a long armor. So that's something to take into consideration if you are not interested in investing in a long arm, or you know you're going to be making quilt after quilt after quilt. Now this one right here, this is the tabletop version of the Weightless Quilter. And this is awesome. I have one of them hooked right on the other side of the embroidery arm on this table. And the other one is hooked here on a little shelf that I have. Okay. And so as I advance the quilt project, and let's say I'm all the way over here on this end, and this begins to be heavy enough that it's going to hang over and cause any weight drag on the embroidery arm, you can get the Weightless Quilter. And this is very affordable. And you just pick these clamps right here, and it'll pick up and hold on to your quilt. So if you're going to be doing this, you really need, this is as essential as a magnetic hoop as far as I'm concerned.
It's like the winning trio combo, the dime snap hoop, the hoop guard, and the Weightless Quilter all in combination. It's like your life will be so much easier. So I do have pictures of the floor one. This is the floor standing Weightless Quilter, showing how it's used with any embroidery machine that you're using. And it's like having 2 best friends holding your quilt on the side. And the time that you save from having to hold your quilt, from preventing it from, pulling the fabric, is just such a joy. So if you click the link in the description of the video, you'll find that. And this is the tabletop Weightless Quilter. So it takes up a little less space. And it has the arms that holds it out of the way, that clamp to your table. Very, very cool. I love it.
So I am getting ready we're going to do the next row. Okay. So let me show you. We're going to simulate. Remember, that's what we say when we're grown up. We're going to simulate. We've already gone all the way across. We have finished our first row, and now it's time to start the next row. So I'm going to take off my top here, and you want to think about, like I said, gauge your distances so that it looks this just right. And I'm going to take my little bunnies here, and I think this is just me. So here is the bottom edge of the paper on this line that is drawn, that I drew from before, and I can really kind of just line it up on that, and it looks like it's about right. And I'm looking at the gap at these closest stitches, so I wouldn't want to nudge it up against it real close, and I don't want any kind of tunneling right there. I'm looking for that sweet spot. And you might consider too, you can do this. You can start here like this. So now you're going to have a staggered effect, almost like nesting. But these are designed so that, you know, it's pretty busy, and you can or not, you know, they're going to be all over the place. It's completely up to you, and it totally depends on the design itself. So this looks about right here. And I'm going to fold this down and make my mark of where I want this to go. And that's it right there. So I need to put this in the middle of my hoop-ish right there. Feel that? You really want to kind of hoop it as straight as possible. And I'll fold it over till I get to the top. And I'm just kind of looking and making sure that this is, I'm eyeballing, it looks pretty straight to me. Okay. And then I'm going to push this up to the side of the hoop. I'm looking for the metal edge down here at the bottom. Get that about the same spot. And there we go. And that's pretty good. Okay. So I'm ready to go put this back into the embroidery machine. I'm going to move, Barb.
Okay, I'm back. All right, here is one from Mary. She said, that looks amazing. No more rolling. Yeah, so it can be difficult when you're working in embroidery on a huge quilt, and having tools available to maintain all of that fabric is just so valuable. Here is another question from Lisa. Lisa has the single needle tubular arm embroidery Brother Persona PRS 100. Yes, you can totally do this on a PRS 100. It has an 8x8 embroidery area. They do have the magnetic snap hoops available for them, and you can use the floor weightless quilter to hold the bulk. You put it in front of your multi-needle machine, and then you're good to go. So it looks like Becky's ready.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, Barbara, one of the things that is very helpful, if you have the Brother PR 1055, is the quilting table. That's very handy if you're going to be doing this process, because that supports a lot of the weight as well. But yes, you can do this in a multi-needle, absolutely. So I am going to start again here. I've got my crosshair, and let me go to, I need to go to return. There we go. Okay, and embroidery. And I'm going to now give me my W or my crosshair, and lay out and move. And I'm going to go. Pretty good. Okay. It's going to start over here, so I don't need to pull up my bobbin thread. So I'm just going to go ahead and go. And it's starting off the edge. Now, when I get finished with this project, I'm going to trim it exactly on the edge of it. Actually, on this one, because I've got so much tape, I'll probably cut into it a little bit. Plus, I got a little, I don't know, mark on my fabric or whatever. But I would just trim it right along the edge, just like I would a quilt if it was coming from the long armor.
Oh, great. Hey, Becky, we had a question from someone asking, does the tape ever come off while you're stitching?
I have not had that happen. This tape is just the same paper tape you would buy at the drugstore for medical, whatever. Now, they do make paper tape that is wash away. There are companies out there that do that. OESD makes a paper tape that is wash away and also pull off. Normally what I do, the reason, I'll bring this up here. So see how this tape is so close to the edge of the quilt top? When it stitches over the edge and I don't, okay, and I cut it away right next to the edge of the quilt top, I just leave the tape in there and put the binding right on top of it. Nobody knows but you and me. And that's how I do that. So if you are going to be washing the quilt and you don't want that in your project, then you can wash it away if you buy the OESD's wash away tape.
That's great. Hey, Julianne asks, do you recommend starting in the corner or in the middle? Question mark.
Okay, so in the video that I did when I first explained how to do this, I said you can start in the middle and figure out where you want it to go and then work your way to the sides. You can do that. Or let's say you want a dinosaur head exactly in the center spot on a quilt. Then you can go ahead and put that right there, your template right there, and figure out working from the middle outwards where your templates will go ahead of time. And you'll hit it pretty close. But you don't necessarily have to. You start anywhere you want, to be honest.
Great. And Sharon asks, let's see. Oh, I accidentally removed it, but she asked if the fabric is ever too bulky that it hits the machine.
It's too bulky that it what?
That it hits the machine. I'm guessing that she's asking like where you have the hoop guard, if it
right.
How you maintain that.
Right. Oh, you know what? I stopped it real quick out of habit, you guys. I didn't have to because I turned off the trim on this machine. I could let it finish and I'll show you. See how it... Okay. So when you turn off the trim, it did not make the trim and it did not make the knot. And that's why that feature is there. So on many upper end embroidery machines, you'll have the ability to turn off that trim. So I'm just going to pull the hoop a little bit, give me some slack, and I'm going to cut it here and pull it out. No, so I think I get what you're talking about with it being too bulky. What you can do is do the quilt in quarters. You could certainly do that. And there's another video on my channel about how to create how to do your quilt in quarters if you've got a large quilt.
That's exactly what I do, Becky. I kind of, if there's more on one side than another, I have like the longer side on the outside of the machine. Even if I have to like, turn something upside down or something like that, just to make it
well work. If you have embroidery software, you can figure that out where, okay, so I'm going to do this quarter here and this quarter here. I need to mirror the design over here. Mm-hmm. I would recommend that if you have a really large quilt, some digitizers do the reverse point order. I know Designs by Juju does do reverse point order, so that if I'm doing this end first and then I flip it around, because all embroidery machine designs go from left to right. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the reverse point order has been digitized in such a way that now the quilt's upside down, but the design is still going to stitch out correctly the other way. And so, but I do not I recommend using a design that is not directional. Maybe it's daisies, maybe it's loops, maybe it's just the stipple or whatever it is, but it's not directional. So my bunnies here are directional. These bunnies have a definite head up, feet down. Okay. Mm-hmm. But that's just because it's Easter and it's cute. And I wanted to show you guys. So let's take a look. I'm going to take it out of the hoop right here. I'm not going to go over to the sun because I'm not going to stitch anymore. We're moving right along here. But so take a look at the spacing. You can't tell where one row stopped and the next one started. And that's exactly what you're after. I mean, you can see it because I told you, and it's got lines. that are going to be ironed off, but you're not going to see it. Okay. Here's the back. So look right there. There's that pass. See how they kind of nest? That's what you're after. Just like that. And when you've got a busy background and you've got a cute front, nobody's going to see it. I'm going to jump over to the ironing board real quick, Barb, and iron off all my mark.
All right. Okay, let's see if we have any more questions. But if you haven't, guys, yet, please comment #AllBrands, because we'll be doing a giveaway shortly for a $25 allbrands.com e-gift card. So make sure that you comment that. Also, just to recap the products that we showed today in the video, Becky is using the Luminaire by Brother. She purchased it from our San Antonio store, and it's a great machine. It's got a huge area from the needle to the neck, so you can fit a lot of quilt in there. We talked about the Weightless quilters and the Monster snap hoop, and Becky is using exquisite thread for embroidering on her quilt today. Yeah. Oh, looks like she's ready. Hey, Becky.
Hey. So, I got my settings screen up. Just a minute. There we go. So I have ironed off all of the marks, and take a look.
That's gorgeous. That oh, it does.
It's just adorable. So I would encourage you guys to give this process a try. It's going to change the way you think about doing just about everything. When you get ready to make a bag, you're going to say, you know what? Maybe I should background quilt this with something cute. Or, you want to make, you've done some log cabin blocks and you put them together and you want to turn them into a table topper or something. Well, run some background quilting designs on them, and you'll just be so surprised that how you can finish your quilting projects now. Get that embroidery machine arm out, get it on your machine, watch my videos to see how it is done. Again, more baby steps. And it'll be on YouTube. It's been on YouTube for a couple years, but you can watch it and stop and go. And I get even more in depth with, I don't have a magnetic hoop. I have an old hoop, and how to use the actual grids that came with your hoops, how to do it if you don't have a camera system. So, and then you're going to see, oh my goodness, I need to get a magnetic hoop. I need that weightless quilter. I see what everybody's talking about now. And it's just you're just going to totally expand your quilting projects and get to be a great embroiderer, and you're going to love it. So I just love that the world of embroidery has gone beyond doing little onesies or monograms or whatever. And now you can just do so many things, and it's so much fun.
I'm so inspired, Becky. That turned out beautiful. And I loved all your tips and tricks that you shared with us today. Do you want to go over some of the questions that I have saved?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we have time.
Okay.
So
can I get a drink real quick? Can I take a drink of Diet Coke?
Please do.
A little dry right here.
All right. Okay, so we're just going to go from the top. Okay. Here we go. Sometimes you want the smaller size design for a larger area, so you put several 4x4 designs in a 9x14 hoop. I thought that was really cool.
Caroline, that's a great point. So remember when I showed this design? So here's the 9x14, and look how wide it is. Some people like large quilting designs, but some people like more dense designs. So yeah, look at the density difference. And by density, how far apart all the stitches are. So if you want something to be a little bit more dense, absolutely. It's going to take more passes. You don't have to remove you don't have to move the hoop around or the project in the hoop. If you can do, like you could do 2 across and a bunch down in that 10 by 16 hoop on the luminaire. Sure could. Just got to pay attention and grab that thread.
Yeah. Carrie made a cool comment. I adjust the size to fit to make the math turn out.
Yeah, so you're a superhero in embroidery. Now, some people ask, can they shrink these designs? And I will tell you, the digitizers, I don't care what company it is, do not recommend that you do that. You could get away with it like a 1/4 of an inch maybe, but they don't recommend that you do that because embroidery is different than when you redigitize something. It's an iffy outcome. So just kind of keep that in mind. But that's why there's so many different sizes. There's just gazillions of them in these packages usually.
Here is one comment from Mary. I leave my paper template on and use the projector to match the design and template. She's got a projector on her machine.
Yeah, and when we've got these big fancy tools, that's great. Not all of us have them. And in my world, that's one of the things I try to do is make sure that, because not everybody has the resources to be able to have a machine with a projector, but we're an all-inclusive community. And so I can do this using my methods, which are very old school. I'll admit that, because I learned before I had a luminaire how to do this. So I could do my method on my Brother NQ3700D that I got from AllBrands, right? So you don't have to have big fancy machines that you could buy a used car for. I get that, but it doesn't mean that you can't still jump in the process. And before long, you're probably going to go, you know what? I need another machine.
That's why we have multiple machines.
That's right. That's exactly right. And you come to the show in Houston, and it's worth the cost of an airline ticket to get there to get the deals that they have at AllBrands at the show.
Yes. And speaking of that, you'll be there with us this year too, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Your dad asked me if I would do demos every day in the show, and I said I'd be happy to.
Yay. Well, we love Brother, we love Becky, and we love the Houston Quilt Festival, and it's the best time to buy an embroidery machine. So
and I was telling the truth about that. It is worth the cost of a flight and a hotel room to come get the machine, and then Barbara will be happy to ship it to you.
Yeah. Here's one question from MJ, and I love your the embroidery on your profile picture. Time to invest in another dimes hoop. Any specials? So yes, there's a little secret on allbrands.com website. If you click the link in the description of this video, it'll show the products, but there's a big black bar at the top of the screen that says click here for current promotions and specials. There is always coupons on that page, and I encourage you to seek out those coupons and use those on your purchase. Here's one question from Carol about the stickers. Don't you have to have a camera to use the dime stickers too? Okay.
You didn't see me use my camera, did ya?
But the camera is cool with the snowman because it actually tilts the design in case you hoop it crooked, which is pretty cool.
Right. And that is really a great thing. But Barbara, you also sell Janome machines, right?
We sell many different brands
of machines. And so again, like I said, I'm an all-inclusive quilter or embroiderer. And so if you've got a Brother machine and you want to use your snowman, by all means do. If I was to just say snowman, then people who have Janome machines or other kinds of embroidery machines would be like, what are you talking about? So that's why I use the dime sticker. It's kind of an all, all of them. But Designs and Machine Embroidery makes these monster snap hoops for many different brands of machines. And Barbara has them all at AllBrands.
Yay, yay.
Yay.
Oh my gosh, Tanya is so sweet. Becky, your demos are so good. Thank you for sharing your gift of quilting with us. I love all your videos because I can understand what you're doing. Thank you.
I use the KISS principle. We're going to keep it simple, silly.
That's not what I told myself a few minutes ago. Oh gosh, oh gosh. Well, thank you, Becky. Do you want to do a giveaway now?
Oh, I'd love to.
Let's do it. All right, here we go.
I'm going to spin the wheel. Ready?
All right.
Go.
Drum roll, please. And our winner, Kim.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Awesome,
Oh my gosh.
Kim.
Yeah, you won something, Kim. You won a $25 AllBrands.com e-gift card. Please email me at events@allbrands.com with your name, number, and address to claim your $25 e-gift card. Congrats. My goodness. What a day.
What a day. This was fun.
It was so much fun. Let's do it again real soon.
Okay. So you guys, if you are not already subscribed to my channel on YouTube, please do. I do lots of tutorials and lots of education on there. And then I show you new fabric and patterns and trends that are coming out in the industry. And all right, you guys, I will talk to you soon. You guys go sew something.
Yes. Bye everybody. Mwah.